Hi everyone, welcome to this presentation about Rasi Aspects. My name is Fiona and I'm one of the mentors on the Asheville Vedic Astrology apprenticeship course on Teachable, and I was lucky enough to spend some time on the weekend with some of the new students answering questions, and we were talking a lot about Rasi Aspects, so it kind of inspired me to share a little bit my experience when I was learning the course and how it crystallized in my mind. So I want to share with you this presentation where I have the idea of rashis or signs being like stage sets. So let's get started. We're going to look at the signs as stage sets, and I've just put in little timings here in case you want to fast forward to the bit that you're interested in. Then we're going to look at the different types of signs and how that feeds into the giving of Rasi aspects. So we're going to look at the rules for that. But what's very important with Rasi aspects is the receiving. So we're going to spend some time, once we've learned the rules, seeing how they actually play out for the sign that is receiving those Rasi aspects. I'm going to give you my little cheat sheet for what it's worth, and then I'm going to give you some examples that we can think about together. We can get our hands dirty a little bit. Obviously, it's within the limits of a very simple cut down version of charts, but something for us to play with and pull it all together in the conclusion. So, as I was listening to the course when I was completing it, I couldn't help but imagine in my mind the signs, each of those signs, those spaces in the sky, as being stages, like theatrical stages, where actors are going to play out these amazing roles in our lives. So in the course, we often talk about the signs as being fields, and I think this is a beautiful analogy because it's all about the soil and the earth that is going to support the seeds that are going to be fertilized in that sign and grow and flourish, or have difficulties really making their mark because of the soil that they're in. And in that context, we talk about the Rasi aspects as enriching that soil, or making that soil a bit more difficult for things to grow. But at the same time, I was also seeing in my mind that each of these signs are the places where drama takes place, and they provide a setting. And there's some beautiful poetic words that are shared in the course about each sign, and it sets this backdrop of mountains or rivers or forests or deserts and dens and hunting, hideouts. There's all these beautiful images that are shared in that course, and it made me think about theatrical stage sets and how they are painted with different images and they have different colors, and just the stage set before the actor even comes on stage, the stage set can give the audience a sense of they can take the audience to a place to give them a sense of what's going to happen, and how the trials of that actor are going to play out in that space. So this was what was going on in my mind as I'm listening to those all those thoughts about signs and the different subtle natures of the signs. So I'm imagining a stage set in my mind. And then as I was hearing about Rasi aspects coming in from different signs, I couldn't help but think about the stage lights, that there's this very subtle element of the theatre, but they're essential, aren't they? Because they give such a flavour to each set. And they light up different elements of that set, and they pick up the colours that are already there, and bring to the audience attention a part of the set that's important, that's going to be a highlight of that particular part of the play. So this is where, in my mind, this idea of Rasi aspects as the lights of a theatre set came along. So then you can imagine that I'm seeing all of these little theatre sets in when we look at the layout of a chart. Okay, so then let's recap the rules that are right there that I'm sure you guys have already come across. We've got cardinal signs. That's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And cardinal signs are outgoing and enterprising. They make things happen. And we also have fixed signs with a different kind of quality. We've got Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And fixed signs are steadfast, intense, and maybe a little resistant to change. And thirdly, we have mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And mutable signs are variable and adaptable. And these different categories of signs are important for the rules of Rasi Aspects. That's why we take a little bit of time just going over these distinctions between signs. Let's get a little bit deeper into these rules now. We're going to have a look at them one by one. But before we do that, let me just explain to you a little bit what the white dots are. So in my analogy of the stage lights, that Rasi Aspects are like the lighting of a stage set, I'm imagining these white dots as the mounts where those lights can go. If you work in the theatre, there are only a few positions where you can put the lights, otherwise they interfere too much with the actors, too much with them walking on stage, or too much with the audience not being able to see because the lights, the actual mounts, are in the way. So there's only ever this limited number of options of where the lights can be. And here these white dots are trying to represent those options of where the lights might come from to light up the stage. But you'll notice that some of them have a red X, and that's going to become apparent in a minute when we bring up the first rule, which is cardinal signs give Rasi aspects to all fixed signs except the one right next door. And that's why we've got these X's. So for example, between Aries and Taurus, they just can't give Rasi aspects to each other. So there's just no potential there for the stage lighting between those two. Okay, and let's play that out now by turning on some of these signs. Okay, we've got Aries switched on, Taurus switched on. We're going to have Leo, also another fixed sign, Scorpio, another fixed sign, and Aquarius, our final fixed sign. So cardinal signs give Rasi aspects to all fixed signs except the adjacent one. And what is that going to mean for Aries? Is it going to give any Rasi aspect to Taurus? No. So the first place it's giving Rasi aspect is right down here into Leo. And it's also giving potentially Rasi aspect to Scorpio, and finally to Aquarius. Then if we move on from Aries and we light up Cancer, another cardinal sign, it's going to give its Rasi aspect. This time it can give it to Taurus because they're not next door to each other. It cannot give any Rasi aspect to Leo, but it can to Scorpio and also to Aquarius. If we switch on another cardinal sign, where is it going to give its Rasi aspect? Well, it can give it all the way up there to Taurus, also to Leo, but it cannot give anything to Scorpio, and finally it can give to Aquarius. Which leaves us with just one more, turning on, imagining we're thinking about Capricorn. Capricorn can give its Rasi aspect to the fixed signs of Taurus, of Leo, of Scorpio, but of course it cannot give to Aquarius. Okay, now what about all of this flipped the other way round for our fixed signs? So let's see the rule. Fixed signs give Rasi aspects to all cardinal signs except the one right next door. Just exactly like the previous rule, but switch the other way round from the fixed sign perspective. Let's light up some stages and see what we've got. So if we're taking Taurus as our first fixed sign, we want to look at, is it giving light to Aries, to Cancer, to Libra, and to Capricorn? So for those of you playing along at home, I'll let you have a quick look there. And then if we think about from Taurus's perspective, we go round the circle. The first place it's going to be able to give Rasi aspects is into Cancer, because it cannot give them into Aries. It's the sign adjacent, so just not possible. However, it will give Rasi aspects into Libra, potentially, into Capricorn. There you are. And now let's have a look from Leo's perspective. Where can it give its Rasi aspect? It can give to Aries. It cannot give to Cancer, but it can give to Libra and to Capricorn. Coming around now to Scorpio. The sign right next door is going to be Libra, so we know that that's out of the game for this round. But Scorpio is able to give its Rasi aspect to Aries, to Cancer, and to Capricorn. And then finally we have Aquarius. Aquarius can give Rasi aspect into Aries, to Cancer, and to Libra, but of course it cannot give any to Capricorn because it's the sign right next door. And lucky last, our third rule for Rasi aspects belongs to the mutable signs. And for me, this is a little easier conceptually, because mutable signs give Rasi aspects to all other mutable signs, because they're there on the corners. They're not next to each other in the same way that the fixed and the cardinals are, so it's a little simpler. Let's light them up. We've got Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And here we go from Gemini. Gemini can give its Rasi aspect into Virgo, into Sagittarius, and into Pisces. Virgo can give its Rasi aspect to Gemini, to Sagittarius, and to Pisces. Sagittarius gives Rasi aspect to Gemini, to Virgo and Pisces. And then Pisces can give Rasi aspect to Gemini, or Virgo, or Sagittarius. But once we've learned the rules about how they give their signs, actually when we're practicing, we want to really feel how these Rasi aspects are coming in. So we're looking at the receiving end. So here we are with a practice chart to play with and make all of this stage lighting come to life. And so what you'll notice is that we're back to that screen of all of the stages. We've also got those white circles where potentially the Rasi aspects can come through. And we've put planets randomly here on a chart. And I started off putting things in their own homes, but then I realized I actually wanted some stages with at least 2 actors there, so we get a bit of a feel for more realistic, that often charts do have 2, 3, 4, 5 planets vying for our attention on the same stage. So let's look at the planets that we have. We've got Rahu in Aries. We've got the Moon and Venus sharing the same stage of Taurus. Then we have the Sun in Leo. We've got Ketu and Mercury in Libra. Saturn and Mars in Scorpio, and we have Jupiter in Pisces. And what we're going to do now, we're just going to work our way through this sign by sign, stage by stage, building up the lighting of this person's chart. And you'll notice that there are some stages with one actor on them, there are some stages with two actors, and there are many stages with no actors, no planets there at all. And that's normal, isn't it? When we look at a chart, there are often signs that are not hosting any planets in that particular chart. So that's totally normal. And we're going to, in this activity of going through this chart and looking at every single Rasi aspect, we're going to see this beautiful jigsaw puzzle of the Rasi aspect potentials that signs have, and the actors, the planets, and how they empower that light to be sent to a sign. So it's a mixing of the passive of the passive sign energy that is receiving. It's just open to these Rasi aspects. It's open to these potentials. That each sign has its rules about which Rasi aspects it will accept, but they're passive. As long as there's something coming in, it'll let it in. But the jigsaw puzzle piece of that is that we need a planet there to empower that light to be sent over. So hopefully in this example we're going to get a chance to see that interplay, because you can imagine if the chart was just like this without Rasi aspects, then really we do see concentrations of planets and also concentrations of emptiness. We see stage sets with nothing on them. But by the end, when you and I have gone through this chart and looked at it, you'll see that even stages that don't have actors on them are going to be receiving Rasi aspects, and they're going to be receiving light and creating flavors there. So it's quite a beautiful combination of the passive potential of Rasi aspects, the way that signs are open and receive those based on the rules that we talked about. That's this passive potential, and then the empowered aspect from having a planet in an appropriate partner sign. So that's a lot of words. Let's get in and get our minds really solving these questions of Rasi aspects. And I was thinking, let's start with Leo, because I don't know, the sun's there. I think that's what's making me feel like it's so powerful. And it's a fixed sign. So what do we know about fixed signs? I'm going to give you a moment to play along at home. That's right, we are looking at the cardinal signs. So we've got Aries. We would have Cancer, but it's right next door, so I'm not going to light it up for you. We've got Libra, and we have Capricorn. So these are our cardinal signs that from Leo's perspective have the potential to send over some Rasi aspects. Now the question we have to ask ourselves when we're examining this sign of Leo, we want to get a sense of this stage. What is unique about this Leo, this person's Leo, the chart? What is unique about their stage and the colour and the drama? Although we know, of course, we've got the sun there, that's going to create some kind of drama of its own. What other flavours are coming in? And so we notice we're going to get a Rasi aspect from Rahu there in Aries. And we've got another cardinal sign with some planets in it. So we're getting a Rasi aspect from Mercury and from Ketu. And now our sign of Leo is beginning to get some of that stage lighting that's creating the mystery and the drama. But you'll notice that we're not getting any Rasi aspects from the sign of Capricorn. The potential is open. Leo sign is open to receive that, but there are no planets in Capricorn in this chart, so there's no one there to empower the light to be sent. Now, let's take it to another fixed sign. We've got Taurus. There we happen to have the Moon and Venus on stage creating a certain amount of action. But let's see if there's any stage lighting that's going to help to set the scene here. We've turned on our cardinal planets that are appropriate, our cardinal signs that are appropriate. We've turned on Cancer and Libra and Capricorn. We've also turned off Aries because it is the sign right next door. So that Rahu cannot send any Rasi aspect light over there into Taurus. But we can get some from down here in Libra. We can get from Ketu and from Mercury. But there's nothing in Cancer, there's nothing in Capricorn. So those are our Rasi aspects for Taurus for this chart. Now let's turn off Taurus and have a look at Scorpio, a third fixed sign. We want to make sure we've got the cardinal signs, the appropriate cardinal signs. So I'm going to switch off Libra and turn on Aries. Now, are there any planets in these cardinal signs? Yes, there is one. Out of those three options, three cardinal signs, there's one of those signs that has a planet in it. It is Aries. It has Rahu. So it's sending Rahu light onto the Scorpio stage where we have Saturn and Mars. And now we've got one final fixed sign to look at, Aquarius. Now we've got no actors here on the Aquarius stage, but we might still be receiving Rasi aspects. Let's have a look. Let's turn on our appropriate cardinal signs. So that means switching off Capricorn and turning on Libra. Are there any cardinal signs with planets in them? Yes. There is Rahu in Aries, and there is Ketu and Mercury. And so here we have an example where there's a stage that's empty in terms of actors, but there is Rasi aspect light coming that is still affecting that sign of Aquarius. And when we look at later, further in the course, when you're looking at houses, we'll notice a little something, that there's a little flavor of that light coming through in Aquarius, even though there are no planets on stage. Okay, well, we've had a good run round the fixed signs. Let's now turn on our fixed signs and have a look at what will be happening for Aries. So we've turned on all the fixed signs, but there's one that I'm going to have to turn off. Which one is that? Taurus. We're not going to get anything from Taurus, but we do get something from Leo. We're getting the Sun Rasi aspect. We're going to get something from Scorpio, because we're going to get Mars and Saturn. But we're not getting anything from Aquarius because there are no planets there. Okay, next cardinal sign is Cancer. No actors on stage, but still might be receiving Rasi aspects. Let's see. Yes, we're getting Rasi aspects from Taurus. So we're getting it from the Moon and Venus. Where are we also going to get Rasi aspects from? Can you see? From Saturn and Mars down there in Scorpio. But nothing from Aquarius because there's no planet there. Let's have a look at another cardinal sign, Libra, and switch on the appropriate fixed signs. Here we are. Are there any planets in these fixed signs? Yes, there are. We're going to get some Rasi aspect from the Moon and from Venus, and some from the Sun. But once again, nothing from Aquarius because we don't have any planets there to empower that light. And one last cardinal sign, Capricorn. No planets on stage, but is it receiving Rasi aspects? Let's have a look. Is it going to get anything from Taurus? Yes, it's going to get Moon and Venus Rasi aspect. It's going to get the Sun, and it's going to get Saturn and Mars. So no planets on stage, but a lot of stage lighting. And that's our fixed signs all done. And cardinal signs all done. Leaving us with mutable signs. And Gemini is getting Rasi aspect from Jupiter in Pisces. Virgo is getting Rasi aspect from Jupiter in Pisces. Sagittarius is getting Rasi aspect from Jupiter in Pisces. But Pisces itself is not receiving Rasi aspect from any signs. So even though we have a planet there, it's not receiving any light, any stage lighting from any of the other mutable signs. So it's interesting, isn't it, now that we've gone all the way around the chart, you can see that the Rasi aspects help to spread the light of different planets around the chart. They create more nuance and they create more richness to the sign and help us when we're interpreting the indicators that are in that sign, that are on that stage, because the Rasi aspects pick up the light of the stage set and they highlight particular things, emphasizing indicators that are already there, sort of reinforcing them and making them stronger and making them jump out to the audience. So it helps us to really dial in the accuracy of our interpretation, because we can see what support is coming from the different light and the different Rasi aspects. So I hope you have enjoyed going all around and seeing the different play between the passive potential of Rasi aspects. So that each sign has these passive openings, but that the light only comes through when it's empowered by a planet of an appropriate sign, as per the rules that we looked at the beginning. Now, I don't know whether you guys need one or whether it's actually going to make any sense with you, but let me share my little cheat sheet for how I think about Rasi aspects when I'm actually working on the chart. So here's our chart that we're trying to read, and when I'm thinking about Rasi aspects, and there's lots of different planets and there's things going on and there's so many things in my mind, I'm just a simple soul. I think about 1, 2, 3. In my mind, I just number. I don't really think about cardinal, fixed, mutable. I just number in my mind 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, very quickly. And then actually I don't need to worry about the threes, right? Because the mutable signs are really easy to work out the aspects. I just look at the corners. Is there anything in the corners giving aspect to any other corners? Totally easy. But I leave in my mind this concept of 1, 2. So what I really ask myself is the sign that I'm interested in, is it a 1 or a 2? That's it. And then I say, okay, it's a 1. So I need to look at all of the 2s. And then for some reason that helps me go round and I just look at 2, 2, 2, 2. So if it's a 1, any one of those signs, if it was Aries or Cancer or Libra or Capricorn, I just keep my mind on that, say it's Capricorn, then I flip over to all of the 2s, and that's how I think about grabbing the Rasi aspects or receiving them when I'm trying to look at the sign in this person's chart and get a feel for those lights and the nuance of this particular person's, this set for this person. I'm actually thinking of 1s and 2s. Anyway, maybe that's helpful. Maybe that's not. So what about some examples? Let's see if we can bring to life these Rasi aspects, the rules that we've been learning,
and how they're received in each house or each sign by doing some actual charts. Now, before we do that, let me put some disclaimers here that I'm really including these for our learning so that we've got something to experiment with. I'm including celebrity charts that come from the Carla software or from the internet. So these are not people who have given me their birth details. For that reason, I don't know whether these are even accurate. I'm taking them off the Carla software as a way of giving us a bit of a sandpit to play in and something practical that we can begin to see how Rasi Aspects work. But for all you and I know, these dates, the birth dates that are on the internet or that are on the software, are not correct. And the other disclaimer that we have to say is we're simplifying this enormously to practice Rasi Aspects in today's video. But in real life, of course, we want to examine the chart in total. We want to look at everything that is going into making up the indicators, the patterns that we're seeing. So I'm asking for your forgiveness here that, one, we're using charts that we actually haven't received from people, so we don't know the accuracy of the information. And two, we're looking at a very specific learning exercise instead of looking at the whole chart. So if you will give me those two caveats, let's get started. What if we look here at some celebrities, and I'll save it up for the end to see what it is that we're looking for, but let's imagine that we are looking at these celebrities and we're looking at what they are known for. So we're going to look at the 10th house, and you just have to take my word for that because it's not in this course, so you have to accept that the 10th house is what we're known for. And I'll just light up the 10th house of this person's chart here. And there's one other thing that you're going to have to take my word for, which is Mercury, the planet that I've highlighted there in green. Why don't you take my word for it that Mercury influences our ability to communicate, to write, to prepare, to put words together. Okay, let's just say that that's a Mercury thing. So in the 10th house of this chart, which you can see highlighted in red there, is Mercury Rasi aspecting this 10th house? I'm going to give you a moment. Do your rules and see, is the 10th house of this chart receiving any Rasi aspects from Mercury? And hopefully, playing along at home, you can see that actually it's a cardinal sign where Mercury is, so it's just not going to send any Rasi aspects right over there to the mutable sign of Virgo. So Elvis Presley gets a no Mercury aspecting his 10th house. All right, here we go. Barbra Streisand, where is the 10th house? Over here. Is this 10th house receiving any Rasi aspects from Mercury? And you'll have to have a look at where Mercury is there. And what sort of house is that? Is that going to aspect onto our fixed 10th house? Well, let's have a look. It's also a fixed house. It's Taurus, so we know, nope, no Rasi aspects coming there. Okay, Taylor Swift, where's the 10th house? There it is. Is this 10th house receiving any Rasi aspects from Mercury? Well, I'm going to let you play along at home. Is it a cardinal? Is it fixed? Is it mutable? Let's have a look. Oh, luckily it's cardinal. Cardinal do give to fixed signs, so our first tick. Yes, Taylor Swift getting Rasi aspects from Mercury in her 10th house. Here we are, Stevie Wonder. Where's the 10th house? There it is. Letting you have a look, give you a bit of time there. Is Mercury in a cardinal, a fixed or a mutable sign? And would that be giving Rasi aspect? Let's have a look. It's in a fixed sign. Fixed signs do give Rasi aspects to cardinal signs, so we're giving it for Stevie Wonder. Madonna, 10th house, lit up for you there. Okay, what about Mercury? What sort of house is Mercury in? Give you a moment. Fixed or cardinal or mutable? It's also in a mutable sign, so yes, we can give a tick that the 10th house is getting Rasi aspect from Mercury. Elton John, you're going to see a theme of my celebrities here, I'm sure. 10th house, fixed sign here. 10th house, fixed sign of Taurus. Is that 10th house going to be getting any Rasi aspect from Mercury? So let you think that through. What house is Mercury in? It's in a mutable house, so no Rasi aspect from Mercury into the 10th house. Bob Dylan, where's the 10th house? There it is, in Virgo, it's mutable. Where's Mercury? What sort of house is it in? I'm going to give you a moment to check that yourself, and then show it's also in a mutable sign. So yes, we are getting Rasi aspect into the 10th house from Mercury. And I think this is lucky last. Where's the 10th house? Right over there in Capricorn. Where is Mercury? It's down there in Scorpio. So what sort of sign is that? Is it mutable? Is it cardinal? Is it fixed? And when you answer that question, will that give Rasi aspects to the 10th house? Let's check. It's fixed. Fixed signs do give their Rasi aspects to cardinal signs, and so we can say for John Lennon, yes, tick, getting Mercury aspect. So in summary, what is it that we're seeing here? We've got the table in front of us. We've got all of these artists, and they're all singers. So we're looking at what has Mercury's Rasi aspect done for these different singers, because we're not looking at Mercury being in their 10th house. We're looking at Mercury just giving this Rasi aspect, the stage lighting. How has it coloured something about them being artists? So they're all singers, but some of them are known as singer-songwriters, and those are the green ticks that we have there. Those people, they are known for writing their own material, and some of them more strongly than others. And you might, if you're Lady Gaga fans, might question Madonna on that list, but she's even written novels and children's books. So there's something about those people with the green ticks. They're just a little bit more known for writing their own material. They're singer-songwriters. Whereas the people with the red X, they're not having any Mercury aspect, Rasi aspect to their 10th house. They're great interpreters of lyrics. They communicate amazing connection through their singing, but they haven't written their own material. So I think this is a nice way to show that Rasi aspects contribute to the richness of the chart, to the richness of the person's experience, to the subtlety that makes up their unique experiences, and plays in the background of what it is that we're looking for. So in this case, we were looking at what they're known for, and in the background of that is the Mercury that we saw for these people, and that's just given a little bit more emphasis to the written word. So I hope you found that interesting. In that you had a chance to practice along with me, and interesting to see how the Rasi aspects show up maybe in a more subtle way. And let's keep in mind all of those disclaimers that we have not analysed these charts in full. We haven't analysed what makes these people singers. We don't even know that these birth dates are correct. This really is a learning experiment tool, and I hope that you have been able to take some learning from that, given the disclaimers that we have about using the material. So let's bring together all of the things that we've been looking at today. To sum up and review, the Rasi aspects are passive openings where light energy or energy from other signs can enter. And in this presentation, we've been imagining that this is like a big theatre set. We've got these different stage sets, and Rasi aspects are like the mounts where the lights can go. They're predetermined depending on each stage set. Has a limited number of places where it can let in light. That is, each sign has a limited number of predetermined places, and those are the rules that we went through earlier. The stage lights are on or off depending on whether there is a planet located in an appropriate sign to send that light. That's where this beautiful patchwork of the passive opening of the sign, the receptivity to the Rasi aspect, it combines with being activated by a planet in an appropriate sign sending that light. And the stage lights, the Rasi aspects, they help to colour the stage set that the play of life is taking place on. The colour that is cast by these stage lights depends on which planet is sending that light, because every planet has its own energy. You're going to learn all about that. It's got its own types of indicators, and just like different lights in the theatre, you know, a stage set all with mostly blue lights gives a whole emotional or psychological impression to the audience that is different from a stage light that has reds and oranges in it. So the colour or the quality of that Rasi aspect depends on the planet that's sending it. And these Rasi aspects, they help the astrologer have a richer understanding of what will show up on that stage set. And if there are several repeating themes between the stage sets, what I mean to say is, if there are several repeating themes between the stage lights, the stage sets, and the actor on the stage, then there is a higher likelihood that you're going to see that come up in the person's life, or that they're going to be aware of it. So we're looking at repeating themes between the Rasi aspects, the sign, and the planet. Once they're really resonating, you can see those indicators having a common theme, you can be more confident that that's actually manifested in the person's life. So it helps us be better astrologers. And I hope our presentation today has given you more confidence with Rasi aspects, that you've learned something, that you've seen how enjoyable it is, and maybe got a little sniff of how it might work. So I encourage you to go out there and keep practicing. There's something for me about the whole cardinal and fixed that gets quite wrapped around in my mind, and I get a bit confused. So keep going with that. Don't be put off, because this is going to give a real richness to your reading, and it's a foundation for many other things in the lessons that you're going to go on to learn. But it's so primordial that it applies to every chart. It's really worth gaining some confidence with Rasi aspects. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.